I remember a friend of mine told me that when his wife went into labor with their first child, he raced home, put his wife in the car, and headed to the hospital. He had mapped out the perfect and the fastest route to the hospital, but he didn't expect the traffic to be so bad. He told me everyone else was moving in their lane, but he wasn't. He needed to get to the hospital now. That frustration of wanting something now is a feeling we all know. Pastor A.W. Tozer said this: "It is not that God is slow, but we are an impatient people." Today, we'll explore the power of God's timing and how it unlocks patience and peace in our lives.
You're teaching me with my
How often
imperfections.
have you or someone you know given up on something? God's timing isn't always our timing, but it's always the perfect timing. Wow, that's a good reminder for me. I couldn't help but to think about 2 Kings chapter 5, verses 1 through 17, and I encourage you to read this story if you don't know it, but it's about Naaman. And Naaman has leprosy. His master sends him to the king, and through a series of events, Naaman stops by the prophet Elisha's house. And we pick up in verse 10. Elisha sent a messenger out to him and said, "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored and you will be cleansed." But Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought that he would surely come out to see me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot, and cure me of my leprosy." In verse 12 it says, "So he turned and went away in rage." And Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you to wash and be cleansed?" So Naaman went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, and as the man of God had told him, his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. Now, I don't know if this was a process that each time he was dipped into the Jordan, he was healed a little bit, or when he came up on that 7th time, he was completely healed. But I want to think that it was a test of Naaman's faith, and it didn't happen until after that 7th time. But what if he had stopped on the 6th time and didn't go down and dip himself the 7th time because he gave up? How often do we get impatient, waiting for a dream job, a new relationship, or even that perfect parking spot? We live in a world of instant gratification, and waiting can feel like punishment to us sometimes. But what if waiting on God's timing is actually a gift for us? What if we give it up just before God is ready to give us that gift? We'll be just like Naaman could have possibly been. Romans 8:28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." See, God doesn't waste time. The wait might be preparing us and strengthening our faith or opening doors that we can't even see yet. I don't know about you, but I've always learned much more when things are tough or when I was waiting on something. I want you to think about Joseph in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. If you're not familiar with this story, you can find it starting in Genesis chapter 37. And Joseph was betrayed by his brothers. He was sold into slavery, and he was falsely imprisoned. And then he waited years for his dreams to come true. But during that wait, God was shaping him into the leader who would save his family. When God's timing finally arrived, Joseph was prepared and perfectly positioned for his future. Patience and trust are the keys to unlocking the blessing of God's timing. As we surrender our impatience and trust in his plan, we find peace in waiting. Micah 6:8, and I like how this is said in the Message version of the Bible. But he's already made it plain how to live, what to do, what God is looking for in men and women. It's quite simple. Do what is fair and just to your neighbor. Be compassionate and loyal in your love. And don't take yourself too seriously. Take God seriously. Is there an area of your life where you're struggling with impatience? Maybe a dream you've been praying for, or a situation that you're in that you think you're not getting out of and it's just not going anywhere? Take a moment to reflect and pray. Ask God for strength to trust in his timing. I want to encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And let's encourage each other on this journey of faith. If you like this video, be sure to check out this one because I think you'll enjoy it too. To be sure you know every time that we post new content, click on the subscribe button and hit that bell. If we've touched you in some way today, please share our video with your family and your friends.
I need you now.